Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Hi guys, I'm Danielle Curtis. I am a professional MMA fighter from Australia. I fight out of Newcastle in Australia, and I was a triple weight division champion in my amateur career, and I've just started my professional career. So I started my MMA journey pretty late in life. I didn't even start training until I was 25 years old, towards the end of being 25. So it has been a relatively short journey. I grew up in a really small, tiny country town in the middle of nowhere in Australia called Hay. Very, very small, not many people, and there weren't any combat sports there. So I actually didn't even know that MMA existed until I moved away to university. So I moved to the capital of Australia, Canberra. And the first time I saw a UFC fight, I immediately fell in love with it. I thought it was the greatest sport ever. But I was a broke uni student, so I actually didn't start training for a handful of years after that. A Muay Thai gym actually opened up right next to where I was working. So I went in there. I wasn't at the Muay Thai gym for very long because I realized that Muay Thai wasn't my passion, it was MMA. So that coach actually helped me find my first MMA coach. And yeah, in a very, very short amount of time, you know, only a handful of years, I've managed to do something that I don't think has ever been done before, which was to become a triple weight division champion, holding all 3 titles at the same time. And then, yeah, now moving on to my professional career. So it's been a short journey, but I definitely wouldn't change it. So growing up in Hay, as I said, it's a very small country town. It doesn't have like any chain restaurants or supermarkets or anything like that. So there wasn't any exposure to combat sports. There's a lot of sport, like your regular sports, you know, netball, football, soccer, those kind of things. Growing up, I actually was really terrible at sports. So to even think that I'm an athlete now is crazy. It's still really surreal to me to call myself an athlete. I was usually picked last for teams, or just, yeah, wasn't good at sport at all, but I loved it, so I did try really, really hard. Yeah, I think I was more into the academic side of school growing up. I loved science, math. Yeah, I think that was sort of more my passions. I actually did a bit of drama as well and acting, kind of just done a bit of everything. And yeah, I didn't even know that this would be my passion. I knew I was destined for something sort of outside of the norm. I always felt that. But if I had have told my younger self that I would be doing something athletic, or would have had the opportunity to represent my country as an athlete, I would never in a million years have believed you if you had have said that to me. So it's been a crazy journey to see, I guess, how far I've come, and that I grew up in such a tiny little town that had no exposure to the sport, but it hasn't really set me back. Like that hard work and determination that I had growing up, I think is what fueled me in this sport and made me successful. So it's interesting. Ever since I saw the sport, I literally become like the biggest fan, the #1 fan of MMA. I learned everything about it and I watched everything. I actually never thought that I would fight. Like, that was not something when I first saw the sport that I thought, oh yeah, I need to fight. But as soon as I started training, I knew that I wanted to fight the moment I started training. And the moment I had my first fight, I knew that that was what I wanted to do. So the goal was always to turn professional and to, I guess, chase this as far as I could go. And that's, I guess, why I've taken a lot of risks and done these things like chasing 3 titles and wanting to go professional and go all the way, is to just take it as far as possible. Because at the end of the day, I never thought I'd even do anything athletic, let alone be good at anything athletic. So for me, it's about being the best version of myself, seeing what's possible. And, you know, along the way, I've kind of learned to believe in myself, and that actually came from other people believing in me initially. Yeah, because like when I went overseas to Amsterdam, like I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was cool to be a part of it and the experience. And, you know, that was self-funded. So asking people for like a GoFundMe to help pay, you know, for me to go and do something like that. And the response I got was like overwhelming. And it was all those people believing in me that kind of helped me believe in myself. And then, yeah, so ever since then, it's kind of been that snowball effect of remembering that and then wanting to just be the best version of myself, push it as far as I possibly can and see what the ceiling is. And I genuinely believe I can be the next, you know, big thing. Like I can keep pushing the boundary of what fighters in general have achieved and continue to achieve things that haven't been done before. So yeah, I want to keep pushing into the professional ranks and do exactly the same thing in the professional ranks, keep smashing the records or changing history, or, you know, and I also just want to use my platform too, because I think genuinely this is the greatest sport in the world, especially as a female. It is the only sport in the world that has genuine equality across the board, males, females, same everything, weight divisions, rules, number of rounds, time of rounds, like earning potential, the way that they advertise you, you know, your spots on the card, like everything. So, you know, I'm also really grateful to be part of this sport. So the other big thing for me is I live and breathe combat sport. So I like to give back as well where I can. Outside of fighting, I commentate fight shows most weekends. If I'm not commentating, I officiate fight shows because I'm official as well. I'm actually now a matchmaker for a fight promotion in Australia. So if you're looking to get a fight, hit me up. And I'm also a part of an industry advisory group of professionals within the combat sports world that give feedback directly to the Combat Sports Authority, which is like a governing body of the legislative component of combat sports in New South Wales and ACT in Australia. So yeah, I mean, it's my whole life. Ever since I started training, I just knew that was it. This is what I want to do. So just been following that and see how far I can go with it. As an amateur and as a female fighter in general, it was really, really difficult to find fights. So I would just say yes as an amateur to any and all fights as they would come up, because otherwise you just couldn't get a fight. And that led me to I've fought anywhere from lightweight to flyweight, so that's just over 70 kilos down to 56 kilos, and everywhere in between. And over the last year and a half, I've had 8 fights, and they were all jumping up and down. And so when I went overseas to Amsterdam last year and to compete in the Gamma World Championships, I competed at featherweight just because it was a tournament style as well, and you know, there was people to fight in that weight division. And yeah, I managed to win all my fights by stoppage and take home the gold medal, and that was my first title. And then coming back to Australia, I really, really wanted to cement myself sort of at those lower weights, and again, still just taking any fights and any opportunities that I could. And I had this idea that, you know, maybe I've always wanted to try and do something that other people haven't. So I'm always trying to push myself to achieve big things. I don't want to just hold down a division and win. I really want to push myself and be able to, you know, do something that no one else has. So last year I actually came up with that idea that maybe I wanted to try and see if it was possible to chase that triple champ status. We've all talked about, you know, double champ in MMA is such a big thing because the weight divisions are so big, the jumps between them. And yeah, I set myself that goal, and every single day I worked on that. So I set myself that goal last year after I won the featherweight world championship. come back and to Australia and then work towards bantamweight. And yeah, I then won the bantamweight and the flyweight both this year, and it was just such a crazy, surreal experience working towards that. It was something that was such a team thing as well, because I had to have, you know, a lot of conversations with my team, you know, not just my coach, but my strength and conditioning coach, and my dietitian played a huge role in being able to jump up and down weight divisions, you know, put on size, cut back down, and still be strong and still be able to perform at all these different weights. And it is really, really difficult jumping up and down. If you're just going down, 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 or up, 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 is difficult enough, but going up and down is very, very difficult. So it was kind of a long journey with a lot of people involved to sort of work out where I would be and how I would be able to get to sort of peak performance, to be able to come up against people that might be bigger than me, or you know, maybe a little bit stronger, and still work out also game plans for all different styles and different body shapes. So it's been like, exactly as people say, human chess. You know, there's so much involved in terms of the skills, but even just adapting to what's in front of you in the fight and having to not be cemented to a game plan, being able to adapt. So I think that was a really big key thing in terms of jumping up and down those weight divisions and getting those 3 titles, was nailing nutrition. You need a dietitian, and strength and conditioning in your training, but also being adaptable, being well-rounded, and being able to take the fight wherever it's got to go. So I think that was definitely the key. Well, I've only had 1 fight as a pro so far. I actually fought, my pro debut was for a professional title. And it was because both my opponent and I had won world titles as amateurs, and we were both ranked very highly. It's a savage sport. I lost my first professional fight. You know, that happens. It's only up from here. So again, big learning experience, and props to my opponent. I did fight the other best fighter in the country in my debut. So, you know, as we all say, you win or you learn, but I don't believe that. I think you learn either way, or you should be learning either way. But it's been a great experience. Like, at the end of the day, this is what I love to do, and it was such a cool experience going out there. My pro debut was only just under 4 weeks after my last amateur fight, which was also a title fight that went the distance. And I was carrying a lot of injuries into that one, and you know, I made the decision to go ahead and still fight, and I live by that. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. But I don't think I would change it anyway. Like, I don't know, I still feel grateful for the experience and learning a lot out of that, and I think it'll make me a better fighter moving forward. So it's going to put that fire in my belly, and just like a lot of the other great fighters at the top at the moment, you know, experience a loss in their first pro fight and then go on a big winning streak. So that's what I'm aiming for. Oh, so it's an interesting story. So I'm currently at Bang Tao, Muay Thai and MMA, which is incredible. It's such an amazing experience being here in Thailand. It's my first time in Thailand, and actually what brought this trip on, I actually won a scholarship to come here, and I was the first person to receive it. It's a new scholarship. It's something that is happening in Australia now, and it's really, really cool to see, actually. So there is an officiating body in Australia, in ACT New South Wales, called MASA, which stands for Martial Arts Sports Association. So they are officiating body. They obviously officiate a whole bunch of fight shows across all combat sport disciplines. And they decided this year that they wanted to give back and try to help continue the development of fighters in Australia. And so they partnered with Bang Tao to provide scholarships for amateur fighters. So I am professional now, but I actually won the scholarship while I was still amateur. And yeah, the idea is to give opportunities like developmental opportunities to amateurs that probably otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it because there's not much money in the sport, to come over here and train at such a world-class facility like Bang Tao. So I'm incredibly grateful to be not only a recipient of the award, but the first one ever. Yeah, and I can't wait to share my experience with everyone else. And I don't know what to say. I'm so incredibly grateful, yeah, to receive it, but to be here, and to be here at Bang Tao, because the place is amazing and everyone's so nice too. And you can definitely see the passion for combat sports that everyone has here. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm incredibly grateful and blessed to be here. So training here has been absolutely incredible. It's a dream, and a dream to kind of experience what it would be like to be able to just train full time and not have a full-time job as well. So I feel like I'm going to get that post-training depression when I go home. But the training here is phenomenal. It exceeds the hype. Like, it's just amazing. So not only is there just so much training, and that the trainers themselves are all amazing, the caliber and the level of training, not just in terms of like the volume, but in terms of the quality of the training, the technical details that you get. You can ask questions and they're always answered, and in a way that doesn't just go, this is how you do it, but explaining the why, what you're looking to get out of that, what that sets up next, like understanding everything, not just that technique, understanding the setup, when you can do it, all of those kind of things. Such a such a high level, and then just the level of people on the mat, like everyone too, super nice, lots of hardworking people. There's everyone from, people starting out in their training all the way through to, professional fighters in the biggest organizations around the world, and everyone's here for that sort of common goal of training and their love of combat sport. And even just cross-training, you've got people that are professional Muay Thai fighters, maybe kickboxing or K1, you've got MMA, you've got people that are just jiu-jitsu or wrestling, and everyone comes together and you're sharing your skills, and, people aren't sort of shying away either. Obviously you can ask the coaches, but I also feel like it's that kind of community feel that you can ask the person that you're working with something, or, everyone's here to share knowledge and get better and level up. And I will say, like, sometimes you get a bit worried about stepping into like the bigger gyms, or the gyms with the more skilled people, that maybe there's egos, or, that people are going to be doing something silly, or that you're going to get injured. Like, obviously injuries happen anywhere, everywhere, like, that happens. But I will say, like, everyone does look after each other here, but you are also able to, find people at your level or higher than you, push the pace, and really get what you want out of it. Again, what you put in is what you'll get out of it. But yeah, the training is just incredible here. Like, I can see why so many people come over here and do camps, because you can just level up so quickly. So yeah, I do know that this will not be my first and last trip. It will be my first of many for sure. And I can't imagine that I'll want to go anywhere else. I think Bang Tao's it for me. Next couple of years, so obviously I just have a long list of goals, and I've always got an evolving list of goals. And it's been a bit overwhelming, actually, seeing this at the beginning of every year, or, writing out this list that I think is kind of impossible. Much bigger goals than I ever planned to achieve, but actually crossing them off and achieving them, and then having to think of bigger, scarier goals. So I think moving forward is, having my next probably like 3 or 4 like really good, tough professional fights, and just keep doing what I'm doing in terms of, like, I never shy away from a fight or an opportunity, and I take the tough fights. And I think that's where the success comes from, is that, you take those and you run with them, and you give it everything that you've got. So I'm obviously going to finish my training up at Bang Tao, which has definitely lit a fire in my belly. I'm still rehabbing a couple of injuries, so I have been sort of training around those, but then getting back into the full swing of things. And I'm going to look to kick off next year and pretty much keep doing what I've been doing, being super active. Like having 8 fights in just over a year and a half was massive, but I loved it. Maybe be a little bit more selective, probably won't jump around quite as many weight divisions in the professional ranks, but I want to continue fighting internationally as well. So I want to get some big international fights, fight on some, big international organizations, and then, work my way into, a spot to fight in one of the top divisions, top organizations, and then it'll be working my way to the very, very top. And then that's not the end goal. There's never an end goal. End goal is always to keep bettering myself. So it's going to be to chase things that haven't been done before. As an Australian, I take a lot of motivation and just, I really look up to, obviously, Volkanovski, because, he could sit at his division and just, demolish everyone there and just be the greatest featherweight. But obviously, he always wants to push and be the best he can be and break those barriers and that kind of stuff. And I kind of feel like that's kind of my mentality as well. There's no end goal. The end goal is not to just get to a big organization. It's not just to become champion. It's not just to see if I can become a double or triple champion or whatever. It's to be better and take the hard fights and put on the performances. So those are the goals. More pro fights, international fights, work my way to a big organization and be able to share the journey along the way. And one of the big things for me is that I want to achieve all these big things to put myself in a position where I can make meaningful change for the sport. So I am doing that on a smaller level at the moment, like being a part of the industry advisory group. I've already worked on getting some rules and regulations changed in my small portion of the world, which is a big deal to local fighters in ACT, New South Wales, within Australia. But I want to do more, and I want to help pave the way and make opportunities for the next generations coming through. But I also want to just be a really good advocate for the sport. I want to be able to showcase the sport in a positive way. And a lot of the times the negative thoughts that people have come from a place of sort of misinformation, or but they just don't have the exposure, or they haven't seen that other side of it, that we're athletes, we're not necessarily just there to hurt people. That's a byproduct of trying to win. But if they could see the work that goes in on the other side of it, and the respect and all those other bits and pieces, I think a lot of people probably change their minds on the sport. So I just want to help be one of those positive advocates, and hopefully be able to also provide information and talk about the things that potentially other people aren't talking about. Because Australians are very bad for this, and fighters are very bad for being very stoic, not showing emotion, not showing, not talking about the things that we all struggle with. So recently I also started a podcast, and the whole point of that is to speak with people in combat community and share our stories, share the behind the scenes and what it's like from our perspective, and the things that we all struggle with, because there's a lot of things we struggle with and we probably don't talk about it. And when you do talk about it, there's a lot of fighters like, oh, you go through that too? I thought it was just me. So trying to break down some of those barriers between us and the people that maybe don't think the sport is very good. Like if they see that other side of it, I think it humanizes us, and they might remember that we're people too. So I just quickly want to say thank you so much to everyone that has been a part of my journey, and everyone that will be a part of my journey. I honestly wouldn't be here without everyone, whether that's, coaches, training partners, sponsors, friends, family, everyone that even just supports me. Maybe you don't know me personally, but like getting on and following my journey or being a part of it, that has contributed when I went to Amsterdam, or just in any way, shape or form, if you've supported me, or even just tuned in, or maybe you're just getting to know me right now for the first time. So I just want to say thank you so much. It really, really means the world to me. And honestly, without all of you, I probably wouldn't be here. So thank you so much. And thank you, Bang Tao, for having me. And thank you so much to MASA for allowing me to be here for this experience.